Hello and welcome to the Photography Salon with the magnificent Ilka Franz. We're live here on Zoom, and we are also on Instagram Live, and we're also on Facebook. Before we're on Facebook, I have to press go live. So, yeah.
A multi-channel live broadcast.
Yes, we're all over the planet. Facebook, Instagram Live, and gosh, we're everywhere. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. You're beginning to pop in now. Welcome to the conversation, the Photography Salon in conversation with Ilka and Franz. Those of you who do know Ilka and Franz's work, I hope you're as excited as me to hear what motivates them, what's behind their remarkable and vastly entertaining style. And I hope you're looking forward to hearing how they have achieved what they've achieved in such a short space of time. So, Ilka and Franz, welcome. Thank you very much for doing this. First question I want to ask you is, you're a duo, you're a photographic duo. It's not common, in fact it's very rare. Marcus is the other photographic duo that springs to mind.
Mm.
Now you're also partners in your personal life. You're a couple, and you work together under this title of Ilka and Franz. I kind of want to ask you, how is that? But that's all you've known as photographers, so I suppose it's just normal. But how do you manage it? Do you have individual roles in each project? Does one of you have a role in general who's more production or more creative? Tell me how you split the roles in any one project.
So we try to kind of both do everything. So we kind of make a point of both being able to do everything, and also we swap roles a lot.
Yeah.
But I guess there are certain areas where, you know, personal interests go in a certain direction. So there's a tendency, for example, that, I don't know, maybe I do more colors, a bit more like on the retouching side. Franz is great with lighting and stuff like that. Or
Yeah, I don't know. It also depends on the project and how involved we are with other stuff at the time. I guess we have like two big fields that I do and that you do. I do like the accounts, and you do other stuff. And yeah, so I guess in a way, when it comes to the creative, we kind of try always to bounce between each other, like back and forth. And someone has an idea, and then the other person kind of feels that there's something to be added to that idea, for example, and so it kind of bounces back and forth quite a bit, right? When it comes to the creative process, at least.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's definitely always a lot of discussion.
Yeah. Yep.
But we try to have everything discussed kind of before we go to a shoot.
Okay.
So, but in the process, you know, while we work on concepts and prepare everything, there's a lot of like different ideas, and definitely also like some conflict and stuff. But it's good because, I don't know, especially so today we've been working on a project, personal project, and I tend to be really impatient. I kind of get ahead of myself, and I want to ideally do it tomorrow or already be done tomorrow. And Franz is the one who then comes and says, actually, let's revisit like the early stages and make sure everything is right. So that's, in that way, it's really good that we kind of complement each other in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also because we do the retouching ourselves, and we like to be involved in the many aspects of our work, like the styling, the set design, everything really. We like to control everything. In that sense, it's also good that it's the two of us, because I think otherwise, I mean, that's how I imagine it. If you're just one person, you maybe have to let go of some things a bit more because there's just not enough time. I mean, even we feel that sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when the scale of projects get bigger, then I guess you just have to give things away to make it work in a way, right?
Yeah.
Within the given timeline, at least. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as somebody who's not part of a duo, it is you're right. When you're on your own, everything's on you, and just having somebody who you know you can trust and who you share aesthetic values with, and yeah, there can be a lot of pressure when you're on your own, and as much as I'm sure at times will create conflict for you both. Having that sounding board and having that support from the other side, I can see how there would be advantages in it.
Yeah.
I mean, what makes this kind of scenario a little bit easier for us is that I think overall we kind of have a similar taste in things. Yeah. So, like the big picture will always be like we'll always have like a similar feel, and then we only really touch base in the small details and kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, but it also means that we sometimes, like every few months, we have like a big picture conversation about what we want and stuff. Because that's important that we kind of head in the same direction there. So yeah, that also happens. But yeah, what you just said also reminded me that, you know, on set and when you have a client situation, in that kind of scenario also really value having Franz there, because it takes the edge off a little bit. You know, when you have a moment where you don't know, you know, you're not sure, you don't feel inspired suddenly, you always have somebody to fall back on. And that's often when, you know, we often say to each other, not sure right now, take the camera. And then the other one, you know, feels more inspired that moment. So
yeah, it must be hard to be on your own when that happens. I mean, it must be hard to push through this kind of low energy kind of phase, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much of your role as a photographer is to for you too, is to keep things moving and to keep the mood upbeat and keep the client happy. Whatever, try and work out what's going to make them happy, and then you have to be working on that. Do you find that one of you is more client facing than the other?
Ooh, well, maybe I'm in a crowd. Maybe I tend to be a bit more entertaining than Ilka, or I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I grew up that way. I don't know.
I just want things to get done.
Yeah.
But that's good, because I know that I can be a bit like the stricter one.
Yeah.
Franz is a bit more the friendly one.
But I guess we've also learned that it doesn't really matter how nice you are on set, as long as the outcome is good, then everything is forgiven afterwards. Yeah. How does it feel for you?
Sorry, say again?
How does it feel? How does it work for you? Do you kind of build up that kind of trust aspect with like your first assistant, or do you have some person, like a person in your life that kind of acts a little bit like a partner in your photography?
What I'll tend to do is I'll engage a producer who and I try and keep them with the client as much as possible.
Yeah.
Clients are really fatiguing, as you know, and you know, being a few years further on than you guys presently in your career, I just you kind of get to the stage where you know that you're not doing what the client wants to hear, because your patience and your, I don't know, I'm developing into a slightly grumpy old man, but that comes out, that's worse with clients who, as we all know, sometimes can't really communicate what they actually want and will ask for things that just can't be done and stuff like that. So in the interest of somebody staying polite and kind and gentle and calm, I try and put a producer between me and the client. I thought that a duo would be a source of a lot of fighting, but yeah, I can really see how you've got each other's back. You've absolutely got someone in the room with you who has your back. So
yeah, and we try not to fight in front of clients. We keep that for our spare time. Yeah.
Although maybe if some clients are watching right now, they'll be like, I've seen a fight.
Oh yeah. But can it ever be a fight if it's a creative argument?
At least bickering.
Yeah.
Just on the subject of you being a duo, Jean Marco actually posted the question when he was registering for the talk. How did you meet? Is it relevant to your professional life? Did you meet in a professional capacity, or did you literally bump into each other?
We met at a house party.
But our ambitions were kind of the same. Yeah. So that kind of, yeah.
I think just a few weeks later, I wanted to like do a little photography project with a friend of mine, and then Franz offered to help me. And that's kind of the very beginning. Yeah.
Purely out of professionalism, obviously.
And also we did some terrible pictures.
Yeah, we did. But oh well, that was then, and now it is now. So yeah, we've evolved. Yeah,
that's cute. Oh, I can help you with your photography. So your visual aesthetic is instantly recognizable. Were either of you moving in that direction before you worked together, or is this something that it was when you came together that suddenly it was there?
No, we definitely developed it together. And so we did lots of different stuff at the beginning. And our very first portfolio was also, I mean, maybe many photographers have that. So it was basically all over the place. We did like some lifestyle photography, some studio stuff, some fashion stuff.
We did quite a few business portraits just to survive, just to make it in the photography world. Yeah.
But then we also did portraits that were really kind of, we basically invited people to visit us, and we made them sit in front of a colorama in a really stiff and controlled way. Yeah. And we combined those with objects quite often, or with like the beginnings of little concepts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was kind of the beginning. And then we once had a portfolio review, and an art buyer said that that's the only thing in the portfolio that is interesting to have. Everything else is really crap. Which is, that's really painful, but that's the kind of feedback you need to then move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we continued more in that color direction and portraits, I guess.
And then at a point we thought, why not do some still lifes and treat them similarly? And that ended up being those kind of empty but very clearly defined spaces and still lifes.
Yeah.
Because we only had like a person sitting in front of a colorama before, and we treated it the same. We only wanted one object and tried to make the best out of one object, really, right? That was kind of
So you I think of you as still life photographers. And I've noticed in your bio, and you've referred to yourself as portrait photographers. Would you, obviously, you would say, if we were in company, I would introduce you as, this is Ilka Franz, they're outstanding still life photographers. Is that fair? Is that who you want to be perceived as? Are you comfortable with that?
I don't know, the official line is always that we like photographing everything, and that's really true. As long as we can kind of put it in our Ilka Franz world, it doesn't really matter if it's a person or an object.
And I mean, I think you also get, by looking at our work, that we kind of treat people still as objects, and not like, we don't want to portray the livelihood or like the spontaneousness of people so much. It's more like planned, and we really have an idea in our mind before we shoot something, right?
Yeah. It's, in a way, it's very similar. So it's quite painful, I think, for our models, because they have to sit really still and move really slowly, and we come and like change little details like you would in a still life.
Yeah. They might, some of them might get upset with us, or we had that the mood was a bit, but so well. What can you do? Yeah.
Isn't it interesting when you have a specific idea with a model, you know exactly how you want them, and you're always almost treating them like a mannequin.
Yeah.
Models want to move. They want to work. So I know exactly what you felt, and it's like, no, stop that. Just just stay there. No. Why did you move your hand? Just stay there. Yeah, I know. I understand. I've actually said to you before, I always feel when I look at your work that people get in the way of what you do. I adore your still lives. It's not in any way a criticism, and I understand the desire to photograph people, but your humour when you work with objects, and you my vocabulary is failing me, but when you do what you do, it's adorable. But as soon as I see your pictures with people, I think no, still not.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I for example really like it, like the portrait we did for The Guardian, like Ruby Tundo. She was at the Bake Off, and there her personality really becomes this like porcelain figure almost. You know, she becomes an object, and I adore that in the picture. That she's like that perfect, and she's sitting that still, and you can really see. I don't know. It's not lively anymore. It's like frozen, a human frozen in place, and I kind of like that fact, you know.
And also often it's combined, like the movie portrait. There we have like she's like coming out of a table, and she's surrounded by ice cream, like sundaes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of still life meets portrait in a way. And I think that's also the just plain portraits. That's kind of a relic from when we started, and we still get commissions for it. That's why we still do it in a way. But what we like is kind of conceptual work that combines people with still life.
Juxtaposition, that was the word I was looking for earlier. Can I just say to everyone who has joined us on Zoom, and indeed if you're with us on Instagram Live, please send us questions. This is your chance to ask Ilka and Franz really exciting stuff, like what's your favorite color, what camera do you use, and please send us questions. This is as much about you in conversation with Ilka and Franz as it is for me. Now, Franz, you're Austrian. Ilka, you're German. All of your success has come about here in London. Could you, and obviously you met in London, so there's no question of you doing what you did back home, so to speak. Could you have achieved the success you have in Austria, Germany, and do you think you would be able to transplant what you do in the UK back home, so to speak? Is London really the place to shine if you have a vision like you do?
I mean, it's a complicated question, and I think the way it was 5 years ago might not be entirely true now, you know? Because also Berlin has changed, the German market has changed a little bit, but...
we always felt like our opportunities were here, because it feels like firstly the creative world in London is huge. There are so many people to collaborate with. We once spent a month in Berlin, just as an example, and we're like struggling to find set designers and stuff. And here you just have so many amazing people to collaborate with. That's one thing. And then we also always felt that here the creative industry always looks for new trends and new talent. That's a thing here, you know, and people want to give new and fresh talent opportunities, and we definitely benefited from that kind of culture, because that's how you kind of gain experience in the beginning. And in Germany it feels a little bit more like it's a bit more conservative, and you have to make a name for yourself, although I don't really know how it works in practice, how you make a name for yourself without getting those important opportunities when you're still new. But because we have a German agent, and we know that we have lost some jobs to some quite old school photographers, although we were really a bit more fitting. So in that sense, we kind of have this feeling that it's a bit more conservative and based on just having a name for a long time already.
There's no doubt with London that I think doors are open, far more open in London than they are, for example, in Paris. I don't know the German market, but certainly the French market, is impenetrable and very difficult for young women to achieve professional success in their 20s. London, I think, has if you're good enough, you're old enough. It really doesn't matter what age you are or what your experience is. If you're good enough, you get it, which is refreshing. But it's a vastly competitive industry, and I, you know, I watch your work. You know, I adore you, and I do love your work. But the thing that you just said could in a way work against you. That yes, you kind of exploded in 2016. You have to sustain that, and the industry is always looking for a new approach. But so yes, it's a good thing and a bad thing.
But that is interesting how we've talked about this, how you stay relevant and how you build a career over decades, and kind of, because also you don't want to start chasing trends or anything. You have to stay true to yourself and to your own vision, but also not in 10 or 20 years be completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the industry. It could happen to anyone, really. So I don't know. I think as long as you put a lot of energy into it, it might be something that comes out of it as well. So it's kind of this scenario rather than anything else, I guess. But once you maybe start to look at things and take them too easy and not put enough effort into an individual assignment, then I guess that could quickly backfire, I guess.
Well, I do see, I mean, one thing that I see with your work is that you guys are very successful, and those of you watching, you will be surprised how much of Ilka Franz's work you have seen in campaigns. And it is easy to get so busy fulfilling well-paid commercial work. And well-paid commercial work tends to narrow your approach to what you actually want to do, and it's so easy to just be doing that all the time and getting narrower and narrower, and forgetting those wonderful things you did for their own sake. That created success. It's really important, and I say this to every photographer, that you find the time just to express yourself. Your voice is so clear, the way you visually speak. And
we also kind of set ourselves this rule to try to treat every shoot as a portfolio shoot or as a potential portfolio shoot. It's not always easy, but at least I think that kind of pushes you a little bit into the right direction. And then we also don't shy back from, I mean, editorials are a great way of doing stuff that you would really want to do, even though they are not paid or not well paid most of the times. But I guess that's also like a brilliant approach to shoot more stuff that you really want to shoot.
Yeah. And also, I remember a conversation that we had. Hello.
Archie, do you have any questions for Ilka Franz?
Hi, Archie.
Hello.
No.
He can see out the window, so he's quite happy.
Yeah, that's more interesting. But yeah, we had a conversation, I think, at the end of last year when we were kind of talking about what we want 2020 to be like. And that was when we realized that we hadn't been properly creative for a very, very long time. So we said we definitely want to do personal projects again in 2020. And as you know, as things have developed this year, we've had plenty of time to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost like we rehearsed that. I've got a couple of questions from people who have joined us, and I'm going to ask them next. Actually, I've got this same question twice. But that's very interesting that we are all in lockdown, and it is the time to explore creativity and to create your own projects. And I asked Ilka and Franz before we sent the broadcast live if they would share something with us, because they have both been working on a personal project. Franz is a frustrated actor, I understand, and he
it's quite a shocker.
Launching him
quite a shocker.
So the guys are very, very, very kindly going to give us a premiere of the latest video project we've worked on. I haven't seen this. I've only seen the opening card, which I think many of you will have seen on Instagram as a little teaser. So we practice screen sharing. So I think Ilka or Franz is going to screen share with us.
Okay.
In a very high-tech way, going to point my phone at my computer screen.
I'm just thinking, can people hear the music?
Well, we'll find out in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this might not work.
Let's see. Okay, honest feedback afterwards, please.
Oh God.
Honest feedback.
Cool. Ready to go? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you are, Instagram.
It's loading.
Nice bit of pull focus there.
Brilliant acting.
You suit that hat, Franz. Franz, it looks bizarrely not like you at all.
I think it fits the current mood, the lockdown mood.
I should have asked, this isn't a 1 hour video or something, is it?
No. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You poor guy.
Beautiful.
I've not had dinner yet. This is making my stomach rumble. Superb.
There you go, sausage fest.
I can see a campaign for vegan sausages every month now on our TV screens.
For me as an actor, or
yeah, available.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we have been up to. It's it was tricky because very, very closed spaces and not a lot of working space. That's what makes it the most tricky, I think. And,
basically when lockdown started, we were thinking, firstly, I mean, we were not expecting any kind of commission, so you need to do something with your time. Yeah. So we tried quite desperately to find ideas, but then all the ideas that were already kind of in the making, you need a studio or a set or a model, all this kind of stuff that suddenly was unavailable. Yeah. So we kind of stripped it back to the bare minimum, like a curtain, a table, and one of us.
Yeah.
And luckily we have our own camera and we've got 2 constant lights. So yeah, it's just experimenting really. But
Well done. And Franz got to wear lederhosen. You must have been bursting to where you were.
I was, yeah, of course. I mean, as you can see in the video, I was really confident and proud of myself. It was great, a great experience. Yeah.
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 Oh, well done.
But honestly, I would recommend it to everyone. Buy some cheap used lights on eBay, set them up in your personal space and try something new. Try something.
Absolutely. My little new toy is CGI. I've been busily working away trying to bring together photography and CGI. You look really confused.
Oh yeah, your audio just dropped out. We couldn't hear you.
Oh, internet connect. Okay, but you're back. So.
Yeah,
back. Did I disappear?
Yes, for a moment.
Just for a second. That was it. It was our internet, I think. It said that.
Okay. But yes, no, my hat is off to you, and I hope, I hope everybody who's watching thinks. I mean, that little film worked brilliantly.
Yeah, there are some nice comments on Instagram, so thank you for that.
Love the sausage feast. Yeah. Very entertaining.
Oh, thanks, guys.
NC Nails wishes she'd done your nails.
Yeah, I wish so too. That would have been brilliant.
So are you enjoying video? Because I'm interested in your step into video. I'm really interested in looking at that. That felt much more Ilka Franz, and that fitted with you, for me personally, much more than when I see people in stills. That was really interesting. That was really interesting. Why have you moved into video? Is that a commercial decision?
So we've done kind of what we call moving image for a while, basically also because clients wanted it. And we've often done shoots where we do stills and video at the same time, but we've always kind of used a DOP.
Yeah.
And yeah, then, you know, often clients want both, I guess.
And,
yeah, and so now we're more interested in, so what we did before was more kind of a moving version of our stills work.
Yeah.
And now we've started being a bit more interested in kind of the storytelling side of film, maybe slowly working our way towards a short film, maybe.
Okay.
And the other thing is that we want to learn more ourselves. So this whole dynamic with the DOP, although it's great for commercial shoots and stuff, but I quite like knowing myself what we want, knowing exactly what they talk about. And
what's achievable. Yeah. Just to have been there so you can judge a situation better.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's.
So I think that's just the way we learn. We'd want to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then also it works better when we work with someone.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I was a bit hesitant at first. Franz was interested in it first. And I was a bit like, nah, I prefer stills because I really like stills. I like it, how you set up an image and you spend a long time on it and you make it exactly like you want. I like that. And that you kind of can't do that so much in film, I guess. But now I appreciate the way that you can use film to tell a story better. It's easier. So now I'm also into it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you know, in a photo story, or at least when we kind of try to do series, like 6 pictures with a theme, but you always have to explain it somehow. You always need like a line where you say, here Ilka Franz shot like different foods or whatever. And in a film, you don't need that. It's self-explanatory. And I really like that now.
Or rather nonsensical.
Or nonsensical, yes. But people get it.
Yeah.
Something I realized from my own journey into and out of film is you can only watch a film so many times. You can actually live with a still photograph. You can look at that again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's really interesting what you were saying about being able to tell a story in film as opposed to in a photograph. I don't know if I agree with you. I respect what you feel, but yeah, it's interesting. I want to check back in with you in a year's time about how you feel about film, because I did my time, and I'm really glad I can do it.
It would be great to come back to the photography salon in a year's time.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear how you travel through film.
Yeah.
So two people have asked fundamentally exactly the same question, and we touched on how to approach this, but I think people do want to know where do you get your inspiration from? What are your references? So I know, but for the viewers, where has this world come from? What are your inspirations and your references?
Do you want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to?
I think it's really difficult to say because it can really come from anywhere. And yeah, we collect lots of different mood boards. So especially I really like screen grabbing stuff, but that can be anything. That could be, for example, we once did a series that was inspired by internet memes that we saw. That's why we in our bio, I think we reference pop culture, because it can be something really trivial.
Yeah, and also really trashy. I think the trashier the better sometimes even. Sometimes like the worst things, just inspire to do something amazing, you know? It's, yeah.
But yeah, I've also noticed that often our kind of projects are led by like something that is a bit language related. Like we did this project that was called Bottomless Brunch, where one of the pictures is a woman sitting, having brunch with no trousers on. So sometimes it can be something like that, just like, oh, bottomless brunch.
What can you do with it? Yeah. Just like a phrase or something that you can then spin and turn it around and just basically break it apart, analyze it, and then put it together in some sort of way that shouldn't be. Something like that, you know?
Yeah. Lovely. Was Bottomless Brunch, was that something you did for yourselves? Or was that...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Julia Corti has asked when she registered, I love this because the question is almost, what is your favorite color? But it's what is your favorite color combination? And I think it's quite good because you have a lot of pink and yellow, and you color clash quite a lot. And what makes you smile when you see it?
First of all, the question is very mean.
we definitely go through phases, that's for sure. There was a green and pink phase. And the plan was actually that I wear today orange lipstick, and the background was meant to be pink, but we changed it because pink and orange.
Yeah.
Definitely into a good color clash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So green and pink, green and orange is nice.
Yeah.
But it changes, right? I think favorite colors, they're always kind of colors define how projects come together. But then after the project is done, you want to do something different again, right? So you try to find another color palette that kind of does the same to you. That's, yeah.
Okay. I really want to ask you this question because it's something that I'm really interested in, and I'm interested in your answer. You've got a really impressive list of award successes since I think on your website you started winning awards around 2015, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Silver medalist, gold medalist, finalist, highly recommended. Do you feel that awards are an important component part of the recipe for achieving commercial success?
I think it's definitely a good way to get some feedback, although it's also an expensive way to get some feedback. But you know, we've never felt that it gives you it has definitely not like given us any breakthrough moments. But it adds like a bit of a seal of approval or something. It builds trust, I guess. But I don't know, how do you feel? Do you feel that one of your awards has really, really given you a boost?
I think it's subliminal. I think that we subliminal may be the wrong word, but I entered awards and was reasonably successful, and a lot of people enter the IPAs and the PX3 and these different awards, and I kind of entered them and got slightly pissed off if I didn't actually win, or thought, oh, that's great when I won, and put it in my signature. I never really thought about it again. But what I didn't really notice is that I think a lot of art buyers, and now that I'm in this sort of gallery world, I think a lot of galleries and art buyers, I think they really watch those awards. And I know that a lot of galleries, they'll see who won the IPA, whatever category, and they'll approach them to represent them. And I think it's, and they may not say that. They may not say, "Oh, I saw you won this award," but that is where they've found your name. And I begin to feel that it's much more a positive than you think, because you say, "Oh, I won a silver or gold in the IPA." No one appears to care. But I do think it helps to just lift you above the crowd just a little bit when the awards are announced. But I think for a lot of photographers, seeing that you've won so many awards, or so and so has won so many awards, these awards, people don't come and find you and give you them because they think you're great. You have to make a conscious effort to look at the deadlines and enter and act and pay the money too. But yeah, I think I was just interested when I saw you had so many. I think I think for a photographer it's a positive thing.
Yeah, we are finalists in the AOP awards this year, which is very exciting. The first time.
Very good. The AOP awards. Agencies used to travel from all over the world for the awards night. I don't think there is an awards night anymore. It was
there is an exhibition that we are in.
I think there will also be an opening night.
Okay.
But I think it's not before September, and God knows, I don't know.
It will actually happen. Yeah. Well, good luck. Good luck. I'm sure you'll do well. How are we doing for time? We have to close in about 10 minutes because we all have to go on a plod for the end. Another very industry-focused thing that I wanted to ask you about, and it's come up a few times in the photography salon, where different photographers have different approaches to agency representation. Now, you are, I know, represented by Horton Stevens in the UK. I don't know who your German agent is. How important is that? How important is that to you? Do you feel that you're more successful because you're with such a good agent? I mean, the Horton Stevens are fantastic. I am. But do you feel that did they help you to climb faster, climb more steeply?
We definitely get work through Horton Stevens contacts for sure. And also, I think what's really crucial is that the workload is a bit more balanced, because they take on workload that otherwise as a photographer without an agent you couldn't cope with at the time. So I guess it makes you
when you're busy,
puts you in a better place.
It's good to have somebody to deal with all the kind of inquiries and negotiating and stuff, while you're often we're, for example, still retouching, and that's when we need to be focused.
Or we are at a shoot and then something happens. So it's
but we also, I don't know, it's a tricky one, because it also feels a bit like the industry still demands of photographers to have an agent, although it's a bit old-fashioned, because I don't know, maybe a few decades ago photographers were more kind of these technical or artist people who weren't also business people, but I think that has really changed. I think most photographers now also see themselves as running a business. And loads of photographers are great at promoting their own work, probably better than the agents, just going by Instagram channels, for example. So I don't know, it's a tricky one.
I think well in Germany, I think it's far more restricted than it is here. So having an agent in Germany is a lot more important than it is in the UK, I would say.
Things are stricter in Germany than they are here. I can't believe.
I think they are. Okay. Took a little while to me.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, but for sure. And I mean, I guess once you are not as busy as you used to be, then I guess the whole debate about having an agent would become a different one, right?
Yeah. But I also think that young photographers shouldn't think that getting an agent is your moment of a big break, because it wasn't for us.
No, it's the work that decides if you're busy or not.
Yeah, and we went quite a long time without an agent, and that was fine too.
So did you? Sorry, let me just explore that a little bit more. Were you trying to seek appointments with agents, actively approaching agents, and then presenting your work getting the feedback, going back, amending your book, going back and representing. Is that how you got agency representation?
We once got approached and had like a short thing with a different agent that didn't work out though. And then we were without an agent for probably 2 years. And kind of, but I think that's also a good exercise to kind of learn to deal with budgeting and all the production yourself. And then at some point we thought maybe a good next step could be to try and get an agent again.
Yeah.
So did you? So you proactively went out and approached agents rather than you were asking to represent your work.
Yeah.
I'm asking these step-by-step questions for people who are watching who may be considering getting an agency representation.
Yeah.
Wondering how it works.
I mean, I guess our deciding factor was that we got busier, and also that we thought our portfolio was more stylized. It was more like where we wanted to be with it, and we wanted maybe an additional person to give us feedback, but then B also give us like a good direction of where to go with it and open the doors. Yeah, we also thought like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of brands, a lot of agencies love agents, and I kind of understand it because they act as a gatekeeper and they speak the same language. They understand the balance between agencies and photographic agents is a lovely thing. They both understand each other perfectly, and I think a lot of photographers though sometimes get some of that feedback from agents. Too much negative feedback and you don't know what to do because you're just getting told it's not good enough, or you responded well by amending your book and taking it back. I just think for young photographers it's important to know that this is the age of communication, and if it isn't working with the agent route, you're absolutely right, Ilka. You can do it yourself.
But we got turned away a couple of times when we kind of seeked out. Like a couple of agents, we just didn't fit in their roster, or they were looking for someone else. So we got neglected, and for someone who's starting out, I think you just need to push through and get over that and just keep working, and eventually it will pan out for sure.
Sometimes it's just not the right time. They're just not looking for anyone.
Yeah.
I just noticed that Horton Stevens are actually watching us on Instagram. I think you should just take a minute to say how wonderful Horton Stevens are.
Well, they are.
I know that. No, there's always we always have great fun at the Christmas parties. So. Yeah.
Guys, what's next? I just love watching you. One thing that I hope is going to be next is I have mentioned to you via the Motel Collection, which is how all this photography salon started again. I want to represent you, and we want to hang your work, and I honestly know that your work is going to cross over from commerce to the art world. I just want to go back very quickly. We only have a couple of minutes left, but I want to know what you think. I see you as artists. I see you as artists who are, the commercial world is saying, come over here and just shoot this car for us and stuff like that. When I was working commercially, I used to say, I'm not an artist, I'm a technician. I'm a technician. I provide what people want. How do you see yourselves? Are you artists or are you technicians?
You go.
I couldn't answer it because I don't know. It's such a, but it's only with my personality. I'm very, very self-conscious in a way. So I wouldn't dare to call myself an artist, for example. But I think the stuff that we are doing is different and it's fun, and we put a lot of love into it. So I don't know what it is, it's our life in a way. And if you need to find a definition for our life, I don't know, it's up for everyone's interpretation. Yeah. What do you think, Ilka?
Yeah, same. It feels wrong to call myself an artist, but we also kind of talk about technical photographers as if they are somebody else. So because for us it's so important what's in the picture, and that that we do our thing. Yeah. That's more important than how we get there in a way. Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we can have exhibitions, and we're so looking forward to the exhibition at your place, which will be great.
Yeah.
if I can ever open the doors at my place,
yeah.
I hope I know that we'll talk more, and I hope that we find a positive way forward with that. Because to me, you are artists. You're being distracted by the commercial world, but I see things in your work that I think it just simply has critical value.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
well done to both of you.
Thank you.
2016, guys. These guys broke through. That's 4 years. It's be proud and recognize how far you've come and how quickly you've come, and it's well deserved. Two of the gentlest, nicest, most humble, loveliest people that I know.
Now you're just putting more butter on your bread. I don't know.
The only people who are nicer than you are all those guys at Holland Stevens. They are nicer than you. Right, well, it is time, guys. It's time for us in the UK to go and applaud the NHS. If you haven't blanked any questions, Marcus B, you asked about how did you end up going down the colour road. This interview will be online on YouTube and our sites and stuff like that tomorrow. Ilka and Franz did answer how they found their style. On Instagram, Jana Minton says, "You're my faves. You're the..."
Thank you.
We're back. I am back. Well, the salon is back. I don't think it's me that's going to be in the chair. It's going to be the lovely Vera who's going to be in the chair in 2 weeks' time, which is the 21st of May. Speaking to and being in conversation with the incredible Salvatore Vitali. Salvatore, I hope I pronounced your name properly. He is a Swiss-based photographer and visual artist, filmmaker, and he really has an incredibly diverse, politically, socially motivated portfolio. Go and check him out, Salvatore Vitali. He couldn't be more different from Ilka and Franz or from what I do. He's another end of the spectrum. And he will be in the photography salon on the 21st of May. Ilka and Franz, thank you again. Love you so much.
Thanks so much for chatting with us.
Yes. Well, very, very, very soon.
Yeah.
I think you might be up for an acting award at the BAFTAs or something. Move on from all this photography stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for attending, everyone. Ilka and Franz, thank you so much. Everybody stay safe, stay and enjoy the peace, and stay happy.
Cool. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.